I literally told my mother, who is a teacher, I would never become a teacher. That is the worst job. Well, it turns out that I was an intern at UT Southwestern for 5 summers in radiology and cardiology, and I realized I didn't want to do medicine. The question is, if a student doesn't learn, did the teacher teach?
Ooh.
My decisions are not guided by what my career plan should be. My decisions are guided by what my family situation is.
All right, everyone. We are super excited to have Dr. Adrian Leday on our show today. Just share his story, his journey, his heart, his passion with our viewers and our listeners. Dr. Leday has been doing this amazing work in K12 Ed for over 25 years, and he's still going strong. He's worked as a math teacher. He's worked as a elementary principal. He's worked as an assistant principal at a high school, and he's currently the principal at South Garland High School, which is one of the schools that I think his older sister went to, and he'll tell us that story. But yeah, we are super grateful to have him on the show. He's been an adjunct professor. Are you still an adjunct professor, Doc?
Not with high school. Step away.
Don't have the time, right? Don't have the time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but that's always something he can have in his back pocket. But yeah, I'm just gonna put it out in the universe. I just feel like this amazing man is going to be a superintendent one day. But yeah, I'm just super grateful to have him on the show. And so, Dr. Leday, what's going on in your life and in your K-12 career right now?
Well, ironically, I just got back from Antigua. That was why I couldn't do the call earlier.
Okay.
Last week. My wife and I have celebrated 25 years of marriage.
Wow.
And so we took a trip, no kids, just grown folks, and went to the beautiful island of Antigua, hung out with my number one girl for 8 days, 7 nights. And
sure,
we did Sandals vacation, did the butler service and all that stuff. So she could be treated like the queen that she is.
No, that's what's up, man. 25 years. Were y'all high school sweethearts? Because you don't look that old, bro.
No, we got married after college.
Okay.
And so relatively young. We were 23 and 22.
Sure.
Married. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, I was blessed to find the right woman.
Sure.
And had enough sense to beg her until she said yes. Yeah. and she was kind enough to agree. And so, here we are 25 years later. And I tell everyone, I did what my sisters wouldn't. So my mother told my sisters to marry doctors, and I was the only one that listened.
Oh, okay. So your wife's a medical doctor?
She is. She has an MD and a PhD.
Wow.
So she has a PhD in molecular microbiology, and she has her MD, and she's a hematopathologist here.
Oh, that's powerful. That's really powerful.
In the lab here. So, like I said, I outkicked my coverage. I just knew she was cute and really smart. I didn't know she could cook. I didn't know anything else. And so here we are 25 years later, and it's easy.
No, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I've been married 16 years, but same thing, man. I definitely married up for real.
That's the charge.
Absolutely, right? You want to level up, marry up. So
right.
But I did, brother. Yeah. So how long you been in K-12 education?
I've been in K-12 education. I'm finishing my 26th year this year.
Wow.
And so
you were teaching for 1 year before you got married?
Yes, the year before I got married. But ironically, I quit my first year. Okay. So I have a little bit of a checkered story with education in that I literally told my mother, who is a teacher, I would never become a teacher. That is the worst job because you don't get your summers off, really. You people treat you poorly. It's ridiculous. Good Lord has blessed me with a different brain and a mind. I've got a biology degree coming, so I'm going to medical school, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out that I was an intern at UT Southwestern for 5 summers in radiology and cardiology, and I realized I didn't want to do medicine. And so my father gave me a quick rule. He said, you have 2 months rent free. After that, you send your first check to Jesus, your second check to me.
Then you don't
know money on the first. And so I started as a substitute teacher, but then got a job as a school teacher, a science teacher, at a charter school in Irving. And I stayed there until I got the job that I thought I wanted, which was a pharmaceutical sales rep at Merck and Company.
Nice.
And so I stayed until March 27th, 2000. I got
Okay.
married in July of 2000. So I thought I got to have money. My wife's about to start medical school and graduate school. Let me get out and let me do it now. The problem is that I taught for 8 months and I fell in love with the kids. I fell in
Yeah.
love with what I was doing. I stayed at Merck until January of '01 and said, baby, I got to go back. I miss it.
Yeah.
And so my years of service is 26, though there was that 9 month respite in there where it was Fortune 500 work. And
Sure.
sadly, I was making the money in 2000 that I'm making right now in 2025, but that's okay. It all comes back.
No.
God is good. He provides.
Yeah.
And I eventually went to get my master's degree in secondary higher education
Okay.
in math instruction. And so I have 18 credit hours, graduate hours in mathematics, which is the subject that I later taught.
Uh-huh.
I'm an instructional coach, assistant principal, and I've done some adjunct professor work and earned my doctorate in 21.
That's nice, man. That's really good, brother. You got a really good
Have an
story.
interesting past.
No, it's awesome, man. Like I feel like everybody has their journey. I feel like we're all put on this earth for a reason, right?
Right.
So you were put on this earth to work with young people, and it's not all that different from my story because I thought I was going to be a lawyer, right? And so
Mhm.
there's an old saying: if you want to make God smile, tell him your plans because He might have other plans, right? And
I was
so
told if you want to make him laugh,
yeah, if you want to make him laugh, because he was hoo hoo ha ha with
you
me.
chuckle.
Yeah, because actually it's funny because I was accepted in SMU and I thought I was on my way to law school. And
Mhm.
like I said, my last year in college, I only needed one credit each semester to graduate and had a lot of time on my hands. And somebody mentioned, why not sub? I was like, oh, okay. I never thought about that. I could work when I want to work. And man, I always like to say, no one ever had to teach me how to manage a class, whether it was elementary, middle, high, it didn't matter where they put me, special ed, it didn't matter. I knew how to handle kids and I just consider that a gift. And I want to thank my mom for that. But mama didn't play. So, she passed that gene on to me.
And my daddy's worse.
There you go. That's what's
That
up.
that bald headed man was something special. It is something special still. He's a lot more mellow now that he's a grandfather, but
For sure.
it's still in there. It's
Oh
still.
yeah, dude. I tell my kids all the time, y'all met the kinder, gentler Janice, my mama. Like, I don't know where this lady came from because she was not
I,
here when I was growing up.
yeah, no, somebody is taking over their bodies when they become grandparents. I
Oh
told them.
man, that is so true, so true, so true. You started 26 years ago,
Yeah.
and has it all been in Texas?
It has all been in Texas,
Okay,
but the first 4.5 years were charter and the
okay,
remaining were the public ISD.
okay. So when you say charter, I know they have some pretty big charters in Texas. Which one did you work for?
I worked for a really good one at Universal Academy.
Okay.
Uh, I actually worked as, like I said, a math and science teacher, but also as a math coordinator for a number of years for the district, which consisted at that time of 2-3 schools.
Oh wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's an interesting dichotomy because I've always felt like there was some sort of us versus them kind of deal with when it came to charters.
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot of times I think people confuse charters with being like some sort of private school. They get public funds too, right?
Right.
But there is a difference. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There is a difference, and if we're being honest, a lot of these charter schools will kind of cherry pick who they keep. They'll take everybody, but that don't mean they're going to keep everybody. Whereas public schools don't have that choice.
And that's the interesting part about the charter school where I worked. It functioned very much like an at-risk charter. My first year of education,
Mm-hmm.
about half my kids had a PO. So it worked very much like an at-risk charter.
Okay.
However, over time, what we found is that, and I give credit to the superintendent and founder for the school, Diane Harris, who's recently passed. She was a GT coordinator in larger school districts, African American female, and thought, you know what, I can do this better with my kids. than anyone else. And so she took on some hard cases. She took on some challenging students, but with the caveat that the requirement for them for remaining in is you can miss no more than 2 parent meetings in the
Oh,
school year. So
okay.
we had a parent meeting every month. Parents had to come. They had to be engaged. And what we found is when parents were actively engaged, K through 12, not
Mm-hmm.
just the elementary
For
kids.
sure. Yeah.
I had eighth grade on up. When parents are involved intimately and know the teachers, know the expectations, know that, hey, we got Saturday school coming and you better be there. And we don't care that you live in Duncanville and that we're in Irving. You better get yourself over here those 35 miles and come home
That's
because this
awesome.
is important. And so that's the thing about why I say that is a very effective charter school,
Right.
because there were rules in place to make sure that any kid could get in, any
Mhm.
kid could stay in, but you had to commit to being invested with the kid.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
with public school, what I love about my school district is, one, I went to school there, so I'm at home. Okay.
Are you at the
Uh,
school that you went to school?
I am not.
Okay.
Ironically, my story is a little interesting, and I'll tell it very shortly.
Mhm.
Uh, the school where I am right now, when I was in school, had a Confederate battle flag as its school flag.
Okay.
Huxley was
Okay.
the school song,
Okay.
and the
Okay.
Southern Colonel was the mascot.
Wow.
And so when I went to high school, I went to another school because we have an open enrollment district, and that other school had an IB program.
Oh,
So
okay.
my I did not go to our neighborhood school. My two sisters did.
Okay.
And they were the court case to get rid of the symbols.
Wow.
35 years after the court case, I'm named the principal there.
Oh my goodness.
And so, again, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plan.
That was
Because
that wasn't part of your plan.
it was not a part of my plan, but it has been a labor of love for that reason, because this was the school that rejected me as a student because I was a person of color, because I was not wanting to be a part of that Dixie legacy.
Mm,
Now it embraces me because I'm one of its own. And we've since changed the symbols of the school before me. My predecessor did that.
that's
They
awesome.
changed us from being the Southern Colonels. They changed the colors. The fight song is different. And now we're the Titans, rebranded
Wow.
in 2021.
Wow.
So I'm walking in, establishing a new legacy at a school that I didn't get a chance to attend. And I'm very adamant about talking about that with my staff members, with my students, with my families, to let them know, hey, y'all, I grew up down the street.
Wow.
This is my school too. This is my community. I'm not, you see doctor on my name, but I'm Adrian. I've been Adrian in this neighborhood, going to play in this gym, going to run on that field, Pee Wee football right outside there on that grass out there.
Okay. Okay.
And so the whole thing about it has come full circle. And ironically, for my oldest sister, who really endured the brunt of most of the backlash,
Sure.
uh, who's she's class of '89 from the school, and she said, "Look at God, look at. I would have never imagined this." And
Wow.
so, in many ways, I'm the fulfillment of my family's legacy to truly impact that school. And so I take that charge very seriously, and I move about it very differently than most people do in the same seat.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. That's pretty powerful, man. And it's a powerful story, and it's in some ways it's kind of sad that, I mean, here we are in 2025, and some of these things still are kind of in existence in some of our places across the country. But times they, as they used to say, times they be a changing.
Well, and the school is very different now because
The demographic,
uh,
right?
well, it used to be the country club school. Now we're 91.2% economically disadvantaged. The primary home language there is Spanish. So entiendo español, hablo un poco
Okay.
por mis familias. So, it's one of those things that, you know, it couldn't be what it was. It has to be something different, but
Yeah.
just as great. And that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah, you practicing your Spanish?
I
Aprenda más español.
I took 4 years in high school, another 2 years in college, and was semi-fluent when I first graduated.
Yeah.
But like I said, I went to a charter school where the majority of the kids were African American. I think I only had 3 Latino students, and only 2 of them spoke Spanish.
Wow.
And so there was very little opportunity to practice.
Yeah. What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated from high school in 1994
Okay.
and attended Texas A&M University in College Station. I am a proud Aggie, and this is actually an A&M shirt that I
Okay.
wear.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, Graduated in 99. I took the circuitous 5-year route, crammed all 4 years into five.
I get it. I get it.
But had I not stayed for that 5th year, I would not have picked up my bride. So
There you go.
it was a
There you go.
necessary component to the
That's
completion.
what's up. That's cool.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really amazing story. And so you had mentioned earlier that you were a biology major.
Yes,
So you
biology.
were on your way to med school.
That was the plan.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I was doing during the summers, during the winter breaks, I always came home and I did research at UT Southwestern.
Okay.
Like I said, started between my junior and senior year of high school doing cardiology and moved from there the rest of those summers and breaks doing radiology and had a phenomenal mentor, Dr. Orhan Urs, who is still there. He's the department chair of radiology at UT Southwestern. Um, Ironically, an Omega man, I won't hold that against him.
Okay. Oh, what are you?
But I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, and but just a phenomenal guy. He was a triple major himself, biology, chemistry, and mathematics. Graduated high school at 16, graduated from Morehouse at 21.
Oh,
Went to Stanford, got his PhD there, and I was literally used to recruit this man to UT Southwestern.
wow.
The chair in the 90s said, I need you to do a great job for him. I heard you're a really great intern. Make sure he comes. I said, yes, sir.
That's what's up. That's good.
There we go.
I know. Man, I feel old, man. I started when you graduated from high school, that was my first year teaching.
It's not that old, brother. Trust me.
Yeah, I was young. I'll put it that way. No, actually, we're the same age. Were you born in 78?
76.
76. Okay, so my sister is a year younger than you. So actually, yeah, I would have missed you because I started in 94. So you had graduated that May. So I started in 94 and she graduated in 95. Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, I've been doing this a long time, man. And I'm like you, I took the long route. I was even longer than you. I was having too much fun. So uh I didn't start
Sometimes you got to take a little more time. And you know what's ironic though? My wife will tell you, she's brilliant. First of all,
Oh,
again, I'll kick your coverage. I always recommend that to everyone. But the reason why she believes me to be as intellectually gifted as she thinks I am is because one of the things I did in undergrad is sadly, I wasn't focused on education. I was focused on understanding people. So I literally spent that time studying people, building relationships, understanding how folks work. Because when I entered college, I was fully prepared for the academic rigors of Texas A&M. What I was not prepared for was life after Texas A&M of understanding how to work with people, how to navigate those spaces. There was an awkwardness to me. There was definitely a level of naivete that was just high. And so I spent time in college while my GPA undergrad didn't reflect great learning because, well, I had fun, but I learned how to work with people and I'm better at reading people now. And my wife even says this about me now. She says, yeah, you just understand how to talk to people, connect to people. She spent more time in the books. She graduated summa cum laude in biochemistry and, and so she's got that down cold, but I'm a bit more proficient in some of the more communal areas.
I hear you. I hear you. So I have a question about your children. Like, are they following in you guys' footsteps?
Heavens to Betsy, no.
Okay.
Well, the great thing about it is we have always told our children, you can't be us. You're not us. You're our children, but you're not us.
Right.
Both my wife and I are national achievement scholars. Both of us full ride scholarship recipients to Texas A&M University.
Yeah.
That's way too much
That's a
pressure.
high bar.
Two parents with doctoral degrees, that's way too much pressure to put on your kids.
That's a high bar.
And so my daughter, she's rising senior this year. She's also a dual credit student. So she'll be graduating with her associate's degree and her high school diploma next year.
Excellent. Excellent. Good for her.
She wants to be a vet.
Okay.
Hey, if you want to do it, great. She's already taken a vet tech certification course and received her certification. So now she's looking for internships,
Mm,
but that's on her if
sure.
that's what she wants to do. My
Absolutely.
son, he is interested in programming and computer engineering.
Awesome.
And so we're going to take him down to Texas A&M for a summer camp in engineering that he wanted to attend. My daughter, we did a college visit. At first, A&M was on the top of her list, and she said, "Dad, it's too big, 75,000 people."
Yeah.
And so now she wants to go to a system school for Texas A&M, which is Tarleton State.
Mm,
Great vet tech, great vet program, automatic acceptance or alignment to what they're doing at Texas A&M. She wants to do graduate school. And so, hey, I just want you to be your version of successful.
I love that.
Okay. And that really does mean self-sustainable because what my job is, and I tell people this all the time, not just with my own children, but with other people's children. My objective is to help prepare them for the world that's beyond the doors that I'm in. And
I
so
love that.
my goal is to make sure that I give them enough information, enough experiences, enough love and support that they feel capable, ready, and able to take on what's outside of the door. My wife, her job is to love them like tenderly. They're in the home. My job is to love them in leaving and prepare them for that because the world will not tell them they love them while they're out there. I need to let them know that you're going to go out there. It's going to feel lonely sometimes, but
Sure.
I'm still, I've got you.
I love
I
that.
need you to go so you can see it.
Love that. That's very good. Yeah. Yeah, raising kids, unfortunately when they're born, it doesn't come with a manual. And the manuals are usually different for each
You
child.
would think it would be right on the backside. You just read it and go, but it's not. No warning labels.
Yeah, right. Not like that. That's amazing. Well, we're in the age of AI now. How
Right.
are you navigating that first as an administrator, and what messages are you giving to your kids about the world they're going to live in long after we're probably gone, and it's going to
Right.
be a much different world than what we live in today.
Right. I think I think that most educators are navigating the use of AI in the proper context within the educational setting. And what it boils down to is I tell kids all the time, I don't want you to take the easy route. AI is not designed to do your homework.
No.
It's not designed for you to be able to write an essay, boom, tell it what you want, and then it spits it out. That's not what it's for. But if
Right.
you're really trying to develop concepts, if you're really trying to get a formula for something, if you're trying to provide yourself with a template to get things done, by all means, exercise that ability. Because ironically, we had Mr. Amin Ra, I think is now Dr. Amin Ra from Los Angeles,
Yeah, yeah,
come
yeah.
out to visit with our campus last school year in 23-24 for revolutionary educators. And what he discussed with us is he said that the thinking that is required for AI to produce that which you actually want in the way that you want it requires a whole bunch of detail, a whole bunch of logic. You need to make sure that you really understand Boolean sequences, which no one thinks about that. No one thinks
Sure.
about all of the parameters that you have to set in order for it to be accurate.
Right.
Okay. And when we discussed it, we talked about, okay, this is really something that we should be doing with our students as opposed to it being this thing that we gatekeep from them saying, don't. What I'm working on right now in education is trying to make sure that my teachers know how to balance that,
Right.
where to find the spaces for that, where that comes up. I'm teaching with the kids is just a matter of do not make this a crush. This isn't just your Google.
That's
You
right.
know, you can still use a dictionary.
Absolutely.
You know, use those sight words. And that's the funny thing is it's this balance between making sure that they are literate of technology, able to master it and use it effectively, while not diminishing their ability to learn other skills that will help them. You know, it happens every year that we put our senior in alphabetical order by last name.
Okay.
Okay. Every year. Same thing every year. In testing, we normally put them in order by last name.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that I still have kids, even as seniors in high school, said, "Where's my name?" I don't see it. baby, you over here in the B's between BA and
Yeah.
BE.
Yeah.
Use these sight words. It's just like a dictionary.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that there are pragmatic skills that we have to teach our students to
Yeah.
make sure that they're ready for the world of work, while at the same time giving them the advanced skills they need so they can have advantages over those who don't have it. So
Absolutely.
that juxtaposition is really it's a challenging space to navigate, but we're trying to do it best we can.
Love it. How long have you been at South Garland?
I was at South Garland twice.
Oh, okay.
So I have the good fortune of having served as an assistant principal at South Garland
Mhm.
from 2017 to 2019,
Okay.
and now serving as the principal starting in 2023.
Wow.
The
That's
4-year respite in between was me being an elementary principal,
okay.
only 4 years in elementary school. And so, loved it. I'm 6'1", so I'm tall, so they loved me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a fairly friendly guy, so little people think I'm funny. I tell great dad jokes.
Yeah.
But I do know that my greatest passion has always been with the high school students because it's that last bit of preparation before they walk into the real thing.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
immediacy of it all is
Yeah.
appealing to me.
Well, that elementary stint is just preparing you for that superintendency. So yeah, there you go.
God hasn't called me to that yet.
All right. All right. He's laughing. He's chuckling. He's chuckling,
I
Doc.
just said he hasn't called me to it. I didn't say what I was doing. I said he has not called me. Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be a big need, in my opinion, in the next 10 years. You know, because there's a lot of people that are in those roles or even close to being able to be in those roles that are going to be able to retire. So,
Well, but let me speak to this also.
mhm,
One of the things that's unique about my particular journey
mhm,
is that the things that's been said about me over and over again is you should have been at this place sooner.
mm,
Being a principal, being an assistant principal, being whatever position. If you had taken this move instead, you'd already be this, you'd already be that. One of the things that you have to understand, or most people don't understand about me very well, is my decisions are not guided by what my career plan should be.
mm.
My decisions are guided by what my family situation is. An example, in 2014, I got an offer to take a building principalship for high school, and I rejected it because it would have required my family to move.
Yeah,
My wife had just gotten her job, and I had a 2 and a 6-year-old who were just not in a space where we could do that.
sure.
Fast forward to 17, similar situation, didn't do it. 19, I actually got my first high school offer from a very good colleague of mine who's a superintendent and doing a phenomenal job. And he came to get me.
Wow.
And so, and I was appreciative of that.
Sure.
But when we looked at what we would have to do for it to happen, I would have had to live, 100 miles away from home and drive in on some weekends.
On some weekends, not even every.
Some weekends.
Yeah, no.
While my son was in elementary school, my daughter was in middle school.
No, that's right.
And
Family.
even though I got the offer, I said no. And, thankfully that colleague of mine, he has since forgiven me. But he said, don't you again. Don't call me if you ain't taking no job. Don't call me back. Just tell me no. Leave me alone. Otherwise, I'm talk crazy to you.
He thought it was a done deal. Yeah.
I thought it was too. But at the last moment, my family said, we're not able. Yeah. And to be candid, if my family had said no to this opportunity that I'm taking right now, mm-hmm. I would have said no. My immediate response when asked by my superintendent, would you like the job? Is I said, no, sir. My family wouldn't go for that. They need me home. Because elementary, you have a lot more downtime than you high school. And I came back and I talked to my family. I spoke to my son who was in elementary school where I was the principal.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And he was going to the next grade level. He said, but Dad, you won't be there. I said, neither will you. He said, oh, okay, fine, bye.
He's like, okay. Yeah.
And my daughter was already in high school. And I asked her, honey, how do you feel about that? She said, Dad, and this is what sold me. She said, Dad, you're pretty good at being a dad. You probably need to be that for other high school kids.
Oh, that's powerful.
And when 15-year-old tells you that, you just, and they're normally so selfish.
Oh, that's powerful, man.
But when she said that, and when my wife closed the deal by saying our family can handle it now, that was when I could go to my superintendent and say, yes, sir, I'd like to apply.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's clear that family comes first for you. And, unfortunately, in our profession, sometimes that's not the case when it comes to people that are in these roles. So kudos to you, my friend, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just how I'm made.
Yeah.
That's my family is my true legacy. If other people's kids love me, these parents, all that stuff, they say great things about me. When I pass away, my children have no good memory of their father. What kind of man am I?
Mm-hmm.
My wife says things about me. What kind of man am I?
No, that's fair. I love that. That's very true. So if you had to go all the way back to the beginning where you had to make that, you were at that crossroads and it was like, okay, I go into medical school or I go into, being a teacher and the path that you're on today, would you do it all over again the same way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in, don't get me wrong, there are some decisions and missteps that we all take.
For sure.
But I'm a firm believer that the missteps are what helped me get here. I would not have understood the things that I understand now. I would not be able to make the decisions that I'm making now if it weren't for the setbacks, the setups from folks, the backstabbing that took place.
Yeah.
Because I work on an integrity system. What you see is what you get. I don't have a whole lot of patience for games nor time to play them, but I can read people. I know politics, how they work. I understand who's who, this, that, and the third. But I think for me, it's a matter of, but I'm going to be the person that I am.
I love that.
And I was able to get to the seat that I'm in right now because that person is the one that they need for this moment right now.
Love it. Yeah, that's very good. Well, man, I am super grateful that you came on and just shared your story, your journey. And clearly the journey is not over yet. But
almost, I'm near retirement.
Yeah, you and me both. I get it. Yeah. But even that, man, you just never know, man. I mean,
yeah,
it's funny because I'm finding that even now when we have these summer breaks, and we're still, I live in the Pacific Northwest, so we don't even get out of school until the 20th of this month because we don't start until after Labor Day. So, and so for me, it's like when we get these breaks, I'm like, after about a month or maybe 6 weeks, it's like, okay, what am I, it's like, I don't know.
You get a month, 6 weeks off? What's that like?
Well, I always look at it like this. And look, I'm not high school. I used to be a high school principal, but, when you're middle or elementary, it's a little bit different game. High schools are year-round, noon and night schools, so I get it.
Yes.
And that's why I'm not one right now. So, but, truthfully, and I love it. I'm like you, man. High school's my jam. I love high school. Like you said, there's something about the quote unquote end and the commencement, the beginning of the rest of a young person's life. And that's just super powerful. And so I love that. But, no, man, I just feel like, with these 4 to 6 weeks that we kind of get off during the summer, man, I just really wonder, like, what am I going to do with myself? Because like I said, I am a little bit older than you. I'll be 57 in August, man. I know black don't crack, but
you maintain it, my brother. My birthday's in August as well.
August what?
28.
August 28th. That's what's up. Yeah, August 8th for me. 8/8/68. So yeah, man, I just don't know, man. I'll be 60 in 3 years and I'll be able to retire at that age. But even in 3 years, my daughter, my youngest, will only be 14. So I know I'm gonna still be working.
Right.
Every year she getting more and more expensive. So it's like
you ain't learned. I know that is not proper English, but it's so true.
It's so true. So true. Especially, with these girls. But no, I mean, for me, it's like, just, I've worked abroad. So that's one unique thing about my career. I had the chance to work in the Middle East. And, there's an old saying, a mind expanded can never return to its original form. And just having that opportunity to live abroad and to visit 12 different countries while we were there and just seeing the impact it had on my kids. Like my daughter, my youngest, like if we had stayed in the Middle East, I don't know, even 2 years longer, this girl would have been fluent in Arabic. You know what I mean? Because they're just sponges at that age. You know, she was 3 years old when we
Absolutely.
went over there, man, and she was picking it up. Like I will show her, she's 12 now almost. And it's funny because I'll show her videos of her singing in Arabic, and she's like, that's me. Like she don't even remember it. You know what I mean? And it just shows you how much that, I always say our kids don't lack capacity, they only lack teachers, right? They will learn anything that will take the time to teach them. And my wife is
Right.
actually Colombian, so my kids are bilingual, biliterate. You know what I mean? They speak two different languages. They read it, they write it, they speak it. And we were intentional with that because we wanted them to have, since they're dual citizens, let's say they do want to be a medical doctor and for whatever reason can't get into med school in the United States. Okay, go to
Go on down to
Columbia.
Columbia. There you go.
There you go. Come back and do your residency and internship and all that here, So there's more than one way to skin a cat. So yeah, I've always felt like education gives, us options. And, just speaking as a Black man myself, like I wouldn't even be here having this conversation with you as a fellow doctor, Dr. Williams, if it hadn't been for living in this country, right? Because my mom had me at 18. I'm not even her oldest. She had my oldest brother at 14. And by the time she was 27, she had 6 kids. And it's just an absolute miracle that all 6 of us have our education. And actually 4 of us are in education. Matter of fact, look, funny thing, bro. And I'm gonna see if you've heard of my sister. My sister is the head of the Houston Union. Her name is Michelle Williams. And she's been causing all kind of headaches for that superintendent down there. Bro, I'm telling you, that's my sister. Since that takeover.
Sounds like good stock to me. That's all. Just a little bit of good trouble. That's what John Lewis said. Sometimes you got to get a little good trouble.
For sure, for sure.
And here's something I will add that's actually interesting. I love a challenging board, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
I love a challenging board that is informed because they press us to be better. One of the great things about the district where I am,
okay,
several of our board members will ask the tough questions.
Okay.
And some of them may even ask some of us principals, hey, I need to talk to you. I need to bend your ear. Now, granted, there's only so much we can communicate, but at the same time, I'm more interested in people who want to know what my job actually is, how it gets done, and what support we truly do need to be able to do it well, than I am the person who's just trying to make sure to put it on the resume for the next election. Yeah. And so, I can tell you our board president that we have now, Robert Selders, HBCU grad from Southern.
Okay.
MIT grad in engineering.
Wow.
Impressive brother.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is he also is a voracious learner about the education system because he wants to make sure it works well for every kid.
I love that.
And so those type of board members, bring them every day, please. Because all you're doing is holding us accountable to do the thing that we said that we were going to do.
I love it.
So I'm for that. And a true champion for children is Linda L. Griffin. If you don't know, you better look it up.
Linda L. Griffin.
Linda L. Griffin, trustee Linda L. Griffin. They're naming a school for her in my district. She's the longest tenured trustee at 25 years, I think it is at this point. And the truth of the matter is, though 76 years old, that woman has energy for days.
That's awesome.
And she will not hesitate to call you out if she feels like there's one child that could be hurt by your decision.
I love that.
And so those types of board members, they aren't a problem to me. They are a solution.
I love that.
They're the ones that when you look and you try to make sure that you make the best decisions, they're the kind of board members that you want. And we have others on the board as well. I just mentioned our 2 African-American ones. But I say that because they are both individuals that will not hesitate to ask tough questions. Yeah. Not for the sake of trying to play gotcha. They ask the tough questions because they want to know, okay, what are we going to do about it?
I love these
suggestions. If not, well, I got an idea of 3. And so
do you have a 5, 7, or 9 member board?
We have a 7.
Okay.
7-member board with at-large positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They are a very good board. We're very fortunate.
That's awesome, man. Well, man, it's been great talking to you, man. I'm so grateful that
Pleasure.
you came on the show. I've always said that one person's journey could potentially be another person's survival guide.
Wow.
So I'm very grateful to you for sharing your story, your journey, and I'm sure that, all of our viewers are going to get a lot of value out of what you shared today. But
Yes.
before you leave, could you please share some parting words of wisdom to our audience? Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. Well, let me first say with the connection, do know I'm still at principal at South Garland High School in Garland ISD. If there's emails or anything like that, I normally respond to those within a day or so.
Okay.
Except for this, the weekend, and I spend that time with my family because I do shut down for the people that I love. My
Sure.
email address is Leday, Leday, at garlandisd.net.
Excellent.
I'm glad to receive communication there. I, of course, can be reached on LinkedIn through my app, through that app. But the parting word that I want to leave with everyone is there's a question that I ask in every interview.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you the question and I'm going to give you the answer that I'm looking for.
Love it.
I always ask this question and I call it the money question because it's a two-part question. It tells me the most about people. Most people think that my answer to this question is one that is, let's just say naive, but I'll
Okay.
tell you. The question is, if a student doesn't learn, did the teacher teach?
Ooh.
There are so many people that will answer that question so many ways.
Wow.
Let me tell you about the answer that I'm looking for and the why.
Okay.
The answer to that question for me is no.
Hmm.
Because if they didn't learn anything, then I didn't teach them anything.
That's
They're
right.
going to learn something. They may learn manners. They may learn respect. They may learn time value. They may learn, they may not learn the content at the level that I need them to. But if they didn't learn anything,
Hmm.
that's me.
Yeah.
And there are those who will say, well, if the kid doesn't come to school, they can't learn. Well, why are they not wanting to come to my class? What is it about me that I'm doing that is discouraging them or making it less likely for them to return? I'm sorry. First day of class, every year I taught, I had 2 notes that every kid had to take. The first 2 notes every single year. Mr. Leday is my favorite teacher. Algebra 1 is my favorite class.
Wow.
And they said, I don't like math. No, 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 no. I didn't say subject. I said class.
Mm.
I said, it's going to be on the quiz. Make sure you answer it correctly. And I put it on the first 3 quizzes. Who's your favorite teacher?
I love it.
What's your favorite class? And when I did that, I had the lowest absentee rate of any teacher in the school
That is so awesome, man.
because you set the table for them that says, no, 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 I'm your favorite. You know why? Because I want you here and you want to be here with me. And the truth of the matter is that if we are truly teachers, like we say we are,
Mm.
we want them in our presence. That bad kid that never misses, I want him to come.
Sure.
Why? I don't want him missing. Because if he doesn't come, this might be the day that I turn him. I've had too many kids that I have turned from being knucklehead yahoos, being who they are right now. And I'm just like, yeah, bring them. Bring me your huddled masses yearning to live free. Bring them, please. Bring me that baby that doesn't speak any English. It's okay. Like I said, entiendo español.
You
Venga,
see?
let's go.
Yeah.
Whatever the situation is, whatever the circumstance, whatever the problem is, bring them.
I love it.
Because if I'm a teacher, a real teacher,
Mm.
I want them all. I want every single one. The parable of the lost sheep is not lost on me. I may have the 99, but where's that one that's lost? Let me go get him. Let me go find him. Let me go to the road. Let me go to the ford. Let me go wherever I've got to go to get him.
I love it.
And that's what it is for me.
Mic drop moment. I love it. Thank you, Doc. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. And we just wish you all the best. And yeah, man, I really, really appreciate you. And I want to honor you for all the work you've done. You've done over 25 years in this amazing K-12 profession. And even though it's a labor of love for all of us that, love this profession, it's not easy work sometimes. So definitely want to honor you for the work that you've done in Texas at the elementary level, at the high school level, as a math teacher, as a elementary principal, as a high school assistant principal, as a high school principal. We appreciate all the many hats that you wore in your career, and we just wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And I appreciate the invitation and a chance to tell my story. And I wish you all the success in the world, and not only in this podcast, but also in what you do for children every day.